Hello everyone, and welcome to the Miss Pink Digital Podcast, home to everything digital marketing, brand building, and tech. And on today's episode, we're going to be doing some myth busting and talking about some digital marketing myths, some misconceptions around digital marketing that people talk about that you need or what you should do, and they're not actually entirely correct. So just to jump into it, the first thing we're going to talk about is one that I can talk from first-hand experience that you don't need, and that is you need a degree to do well in digital marketing or to get jobs in digital marketing. This is absolutely incorrect because I do not have a degree myself, and I have been in digital marketing for coming up 7 years, and I'm pretty good at it. I feel I'm pretty good at it. I have learned so many skills along the way, and I think the best way to develop your career, develop your skill set is through experience rather than a degree. Obviously, education is a very important factor when it comes to developing new skills, but you don't have to just get your education through a degree. There are so many places online nowadays where you can develop your skills, even listening to podcasts like this or other digital marketing podcasts, or having a really good mentor, or working in an advertising or digital marketing agency, looking at forums, looking at online conversations. There's so many ways of absorbing knowledge online that can help develop your skills outside of a degree. So the fact that we still have this old-fashioned mindset around needing a degree in digital marketing, and the fact that I still see employers online making that a core hiring factor, I think is just crazy, and you're really limiting your talent pool when you put these limitations in place. So that's the first misconception that we can just tick off our list completely. And following on from that one, another one that is a big misconception is in order to do well in digital marketing and to create effective campaigns specifically on social media, so TikTok, Instagram, any of that, you need experience. And this is a huge misconception because I've actually found that in some instances, the people with years and years of organic social media experience actually can be more of a hindrance to growth on an account, especially if they can't get rid of their old mindset and aren't willing to develop and grow with the platforms. When it comes to being good at social media, when it comes to being good at digital marketing, what is more important is to be able to adapt to the changes in the platform, adapt to changes in algorithms, be able to monitor these changes, monitor content, and really absorb what other people are doing, what other strategies are doing, and how you can make them your own as well. That is more important than having years and years of experience when it comes to being able to develop your skills in digital marketing. A lot of people who have years and years of experience in digital marketing are not, or not a lot of people, but a good chunk of people are not willing to continue to learn and develop their skills, are very stuck in the past mindset. So someone who may have 7 years of experience in digital marketing may not actually be as knowledgeable as what digital marketing is in today's day and age than someone who's been doing it for 2 years. But the person who's been doing it for 2 years has been learning the changes on the platform, has been adapting, and all of that good stuff. So adaptation is just as important as experience is. And another misconception around the social media world of digital marketing is you need to be jumping on every trend that is available. This is a huge misconception. I see this happen a lot now with brands where they are kind of losing their brand's vision, their brand's voice, their core messaging and offering because they're too busy trying to jump on any and every trend with the sake of gaining virality rather than gaining meaningful reach and visibility. Obviously, trends and leveraging trends and leaning on trends is a core part of any digital marketing strategy, whether that's social media, whether it's paid advertising. It's always going to be important, and it's always going to have its place within every marketing strategy there is. However, just because there's a trend doesn't mean you have to jump on it. If it is a trend that goes well with your brand, if it's a trend that you feel could really help grow awareness for your brand and grow your customer base, then of course it is going to be useful to jump on that trend. But if the trend just does not make any sense for your brand, it is not going to garner you any meaningful impressions and ultimately sell the product or service you're trying to promote at the end of the funnel, then you don't have to jump on that trend. You can use your page to create more evergreen content. You can start harnessing more content that off the back of it creates a trend. You don't have to just blindly follow trends for the sake of blindly following trends or because someone has advised you to do so. And when it comes to content creation and social media, I see a lot of businesses, especially when I was in my agency days, I'd seen a lot of businesses that say, I can't market my product is boring, my product isn't good for social media, it's not going to work. And that is another misconception when it comes to digital marketing and social media, is that there are businesses that are quote unquote too boring for it, and that any social media platform is not going to work for their business growth because their business just isn't very social media friendly. That's not true. Every business can work on social media. It's just about how you market it. It just might be the case that whereas a clothing brand, there's loads of things that you can take, loads of routes you can take when it comes to your social media content. If your product or your brand or your service is a bit more boring or less social media friendly, i.e. let's say you're a carpet cleaning service, there are still routes you could take. You just have to be more clever and creative with your content. If you're struggling to believe that or find inspiration online, there is so many social media accounts that are a core example of taking a product or service that is quote unquote not social media friendly and not aesthetic and not glamorous, and really using their knowledge to build a following and build a customer base. One of my favorite examples of this is Attorney Martinez, and she is a lawyer, an immigration lawyer to be specific, and she creates educational content on her TikTok and Instagram all about her law firm, but also leveraging her knowledge around immigration law. And it's honestly fascinating and something that you wouldn't think is a quote unquote aesthetically pleasing, glamorous business to run. She's actually proven how you can still harness your knowledge, harness your business, harness your service, and grow a following online. The next misconception I'm going to talk about is influencer marketing and the whole piece around if you partner with an influencer with loads of followers, then you're guaranteed to get sales. That is far from true. And there's a difference between influencers that gain visibility and influencers that convert. And I would always urge anyone who is looking to run some influencer marketing activity to ask the influencers what their kind of conversion rate is off the back of their activity, because they should have access to that information, or if they have any information around how many users typically convert off the back of their activity, and start to shift your strategy from a visibility piece to a conversion piece. Now, one thing I will say when it comes to influencer marketing, it is obviously more top of funnel leaning. So that basically means that it is more about awareness and visibility than it is about converting. So you're not necessarily going to get direct conversions off the back of an influencer post. However, what you need to be looking at is what impressions are meaningful impressions off the back of an influencer post. So just because an influencer with a lot of visibility posts something doesn't mean the followers are going to resonate with that, and doesn't mean they trust the influencer to promote that product. So it's all about finding what influencers have a relevant following to your product, what influencers could promote your product to followers that would actually use your product. And that way you're trying to garner more meaningful impressions from that influencer. Just because they have a big following and just because they promote your product doesn't mean your product's going to convert or resonate with their followers. And then last but certainly not least, I feel like this misconception has changed slightly over the years and isn't as prevalent as what it used to be, but any product is marketable, or you can sell any product as long as the marketing is good. And I strongly disagree with this. I think your marketing starts at your product. If your product is shit, you could have the best marketing campaign in the world, but it will only go so far if the product is not good. Actually, no, I've got one more misconception that I want to share. I probably should do another podcast for this because I feel like there's so many misconceptions around digital marketing. But this one is such an important one, and that is you need a visibility or you need a content strategy on every single platform. Now, I'm going to contradict myself here. Obviously, visibility is good. And leveraging as many platforms as you can and not putting all your eggs in one basket is important. And I always make content around not putting all your eggs in one basket. However, if you're trying to master everything, you're going to be a master of nothing. And it's more important to figure out your strategy for one platform, specifically when it comes to organic social content. Figure out your strategy for one platform. Once you feel that has been somewhat, I don't want to say mastered, but you've got a grasp of that and you've found a strategy that works really well for you, then you can start learning how to leverage the other platforms and growing your following there. If you're spreading yourself too thin, you're going to have a lot of activity all over the place, but none of it is actually going to be working efficiently for you and driving the results you need to really flourish on that platform. But yes, I hope this video? Why do I say that all the time? This podcast was helpful. I'd love to do video soon, actually, to be fair, but it's just audio for now. But I hope this podcast episode was helpful, and I hope it taught you some misconceptions around digital marketing that may have stopped you from starting or continuing or building on your digital marketing journey. But I hope you have a lovely day, and I will speak to you guys again soon.